The sun hung high in the sky, casting an unrelenting heat over the vast desert expanse. Stretching endlessly, the golden sands formed rolling dunes that danced like waves beneath the bright blue heavens. Not a single tree or shrub broke the monotony of this arid land, making it both enchanting and fearsome at the same time. As far as the eye could see, there were only endless ripples of sand glimmering under the midday sun. The air was thick and dry, filled with a quiet stillness that made every sound seem amplified. If you enjoy this video, please like the video and subscribe for more, and tell me where you are watching from today. I always find it awesome to see where all my viewers are watching from. Let's get back to the video. A faint whisper of wind occasionally stirred the grains, producing a soft rustling that echoed across the dunes. The sunlight poured down relentlessly, transforming the sands into a surreal landscape that shimmered with light, almost like an endless sea. But amidst the beauty lay danger, a dangerous world where survival depended on cunning and strength. In this harsh setting, far from civilization, a small figure could be seen. A child sitting alone on a warm patch of sand. The fragile form curled up tightly, knees drawn to their chest as they sobbed quietly. In this moment of vulnerability, with tears streaming down their dusty cheeks, they felt utterly alone. Their cries pierced through the silence of the desert like a sharp arrow. The child's name was Leo, a fitting name for someone destined for an unexpected encounter. Leo had wandered away during an adventure earlier that day, captivated by tales of brave explorers and hidden treasures. He imagined himself as one of those adventurers, strong and fearless. But reality hit hard when he realized he was lost in this endless stretch of sand. The excitement transformed into fear as the sun began its slow descent toward the horizon. What started as playful exploration quickly turned into panic as he searched frantically for anyone familiar. Any sign of help? The heat drained Leo's energy faster than he anticipated, leaving him feeling dizzy and helpless. His tiny voice echoed in the emptiness around him. Each sob seemed to bounce back from the dunes in cruel mockery of his solitude. His heart raced as shadows lengthened behind him, and dark clouds gathered in his mind. However, unbeknownst to Leo as he sat weeping was the world around him. The intricate balance of life that existed even in such desolate locations. Hidden from sight within those undulating sands was a creature prowling silently through its territory. A majestic lion with golden fur that mirrored the sun-soaked dunes. This lone lion roamed through its domain in search of food, but it sensed something unusual in its territory today. Something different than its usual prey or rival predators. Curious by nature, lions often drew closer to investigate unfamiliar sounds or scents. As it neared Leo's location, something bizarre drew it toward this small child's cries. With powerful paws patting softly across the hot earth, the lion moved gracefully through the dunes, each step deliberate and cautious. It paused occasionally to sniff at carried scents on warm breezes before continuing toward where Leo curled up. Its keen instincts picked up on something beyond mere hunger. There was an unusual pull compelling it forward. As it approached cautiously, both anticipation and anxiety filled its heart. This child might be perceived as prey by many creatures of the desert, but not by this lion. There was something tender about those soft whimpers, something that sparked curiosity within its wild spirit. The arid desert held mysteries beneath its sand-swept exterior. Ancient stories woven into grains told tales both terrifying and beautiful, all waiting for someone brave enough to discover them. With each step closer to Leo's location came questions swirling through both minds. What would happen next? How would one so small fit into this grand tapestry? The sun dipped further toward twilight, Shadows stretched profoundly across shifting sands, creating shapes where imagination could run rampant. In that moment of uncertainty, where loneliness met curiosity itself, emerged an unexpected connection. A bridge between two contrasting worlds, one wild and feral, a magnificent lion, and one innocent and fragile. A little boy with dreams yet unformed within his soul. Would they find solace together in this lonely place? Would Leo's cries transform into laughter? Or would fear reign, marking forever a tale written against golden sands? While fate held its breath, waiting patiently behind swirling dust clouds above, as life can sometimes seem boundless and forever unwavering. The stage was set for what would soon unfold unexpectedly amidst this harsh yet stunning environment, where neither fully belonged but somehow found themselves intertwined. Forever changed by one another's presence against all odds in their wilderness adventure. As the sun continued its slow descent, casting a warm glow over the endless dunes, Leo sat hunched in the sand, feeling smaller than ever. The golden grains felt coarse against his skin, and every gust of wind stirred up tiny flecks of dust that danced around him like tiny ghosts. His heart ached with loneliness. Each sob echoed in the stillness, amplifying his sense of isolation. Leo had always been adventurous, full of energy and curiosity. He loved exploring his surroundings, imagining himself as a brave explorer, uncovering hidden treasures and thrilling mysteries. But this time was different. Stranded in the vast desert without any familiar faces or comforting sounds, his imagination turned dark and heavy. The stories he once embraced now twisted into nightmares as he grappled with the weight of fear. Tears rolled down his cheeks, mixing with the sweat from his brow and the dust from the desert floor. Leo wrapped his arms tightly around his knees, hoping to feel some semblance of security in this vast emptiness. The warmth of the sun began to fade, replaced by a cool breeze that swept through the dunes, bringing a shiver to his spine. He thought about the adventures he had dreamed of. A treasure map leading to gold coins buried beneath palm trees or hidden caves filled with sparkling jewels. But those dreams now felt far away and unreachable. Instead, reality pressed heavily upon him. Thoughts raced through his mind. What if no one found him? Would he be stuck here forever? Panic clawed at him as he tried to suppress these thoughts, but failed miserably. The sun hung low on the horizon, painting streaks of orange and pink across the sky. A breathtaking sight that would normally fill Leo with wonder. But all he could see was an unending sea of sand surrounding him, like an impenetrable wall. The beauty of nature lost its charm when faced with such overwhelming loneliness. Suddenly, a sound broke through his spiraling thoughts. A faint rustle that made him pause mid-sob. He glanced around cautiously but saw nothing out of place in this quiet expanse. Soon after, another wave of despair washed over him. It felt as if even the desert itself was indifferent to his plight. Leo closed his eyes tightly against another wave of tears threatening to spill over. He took deep breaths to calm himself, but found it difficult amidst the vast emptiness that surrounded him. "Help! Someone, please!" He called out weakly into the endless horizon, hoping against hope that someone would hear him and come running. Unbeknownst to Leo, amidst this moment of vulnerability and sadness, lay an unexpected twist in fate. The curious lion prowling closer drew near with every soft footfall across shifting sands. While Leo's cries seemed pitiful and forlorn, they resonated differently within this majestic creature's heart. The lion was intrigued by what it heard, a sound out of place in its familiar territory. Something that tugged at its instincts in ways it didn't quite understand, yet felt compelled to explore further. Curiosity outweighed caution for this particular lion, who had wandered alone for many days in search of food or perhaps companionship, as it moved stealthily through the golden dunes toward where Leo sat curled up alone. Its heart began to beat faster with anticipation, mixed with uncertainty. Would this small being sitting helplessly on a patch of sand react with fear? Or would there be something more profound waiting for them both? With each step closer to Leo's trembling form came questions swirling through both minds. What would happen when they finally met? Would fear separate them or create an unexpected bond? In such moments filled with uncertainty lies potential for connection, an opportunity for friendship blossoming amid desolation. Leo's cries grew softer as exhaustion began to seep into his bones. Fatigue replaced panic as darkness started, creeping into view on the horizon above them both. Just then, he heard another sound, a gentle rustling accompanied by something resembling a soft exhale nearby. Opening his eyes cautiously, Leo caught sight of movement just beyond where he sat. Something golden shimmering against the backdrop of twilight, sand dunes began materializing before him. His heart raced again, but this time not just from fear. There was something almost magical about what lay ahead. Could it be? Each heartbeat echoed through silence thick enough to cut, while shadows stretched long across shifting sands all around them. The stage was set for their lives to intertwine unexpectedly amidst this harsh yet stunning landscape, where neither belonged fully, but were destined for something more together. As dusk settled over the desert, the air turned cooler, bringing a slight relief from the oppressive heat of the day. Shadows stretched across the sands, creating an enchanting play of light and darkness. Leo, lost in despair, remained curled up on the ground, trembling with exhaustion and fear, unaware of the majestic presence that was drawing closer. The lion moved silently through the golden dunes, its powerful body gliding effortlessly over the grains. Each step was measured and deliberate, showcasing its inherent grace. The lion's golden fur glinted softly in the fading sunlight, blending seamlessly with the shimmering hues of the landscape. Its piercing amber eyes remained fixed on the source of those haunting cries echoing against the vast silence of the desert. As it approached, curiosity began to outweigh caution. Unlike most lions, this one was not driven by hunger or aggression, but by a profound sense of intrigue about what lived within these unknown sounds. Many creatures would have seen a lone child as an easy target or a threat intruding upon their territory. But this lion was different. It felt a strange pull toward Leo's sorrow. The sound of soft whimpering continued to drift through the air like a sad melody, mingling with the whispers of the wind. Every whimper tugged at the lion's heart, igniting a spark of empathy within its wild spirit. It moved closer still, unable to resist the magnetic call of innocence laid bare before it. Leo's cries slowly faded as fatigue washed over him. His little body was heavy with exhaustion. Just as he began to close his eyes once more, retreating further into despair, a sudden rustling in the sand stirred his senses. He opened his eyes cautiously, squinting at the shadow that loomed nearby. At first, fear gripped him tight. His heart raced like wild drums in his chest. But then curiosity flickered in his mind, pushing through the fog of dread. As he blinked against fading light, Leo caught sight of something remarkable. A magnificent creature standing just a few feet away. The lion's proud stature commanded respect and awe. Its presence was both intimidating and utterly beautiful. The two locked eyes, the child and the lion, each caught in their own world yet momentarily frozen in this shared space of unexpected connection. The lion's sharp gaze softened as it took in Leo's delicate frame trembling before it. For a moment, time seemed to stand still, They were no longer just a child and a beast, but two souls meeting against all odds in this stark landscape. Leo's breath caught in his throat at the sight before him. He could hardly believe what he was witnessing. Here stood a powerful lion, the very king of beasts he had only seen in books or on screens. Yet somehow this lion felt different. Instead of raw power emanating from its stance, it carried an air of gentleness mixed with curiosity that captivated him. As if sensing Leo's fear melting into wonder, the lion took a cautious step forward, head lowered slightly, keeping its large golden eyes fixed on him to show it meant no harm. The soft crunching of sand beneath its paws seemed thunderous compared to the desert's stillness as it closed that short distance separating them. Instinctively, Leo straightened up from his curled position, wiping away his tears with dusty fingers while holding his breath in anticipation. His heart raced wildly, but now beat with an undercurrent of fascination rather than fear. Slowly and carefully, or so it seemed. The lion approached even further, until it was only a few steps away from where Leo sat on the ground. In that moment of proximity, an electric sensation filled the air around them. It felt like fate itself had woven these threads together. How could they have found themselves here at this precise crossroads? Would Leo find solace in this creature who embodied strength wrapped in mystery? And could joy bloom from such an encounter when both had felt so utterly alone? Just as Leo thought he might reach out, a simple gesture marking this profound connection. He hesitated for one last heartbeat, wondering if this was all merely part of another dream conjured by an exhausted mind. But instead of lunging or growling, as stories had described lions too often doing, this lone lion exhaled gently, releasing soft breaths that stirred fine grains of sand. The sound was soothing rather than threatening, a tentative invitation extended into their fragile bond. In that breathtaking instant beneath twilight skies, painted deep indigo with stars beginning to twinkle above, the universe held its breath while possibilities surged on invisible currents. Both child and lion awaited what would unfold amid shadows, stretching further across their world. A meeting that promised adventure amidst unfathomable courage, even when fear dared challenge them. In that magical moment beneath the fading light of the desert sky, Leo and the lion found themselves caught in a web of silence and connection. As they both stood still, like two pieces of art framed against the backdrop of shimmering twilight, the world around them seemed to fade away. Here was a child, lost and afraid, and a lion, wild yet tender, each searching for something, an understanding, perhaps, or a bond that transcended their vast differences. As Leo slowly wiped away his tears, he felt an unfamiliar mix of fear transforming into awe. The lion's warm amber eyes sparkled with curiosity rather than hunger. There was no menace in its presence, only a serene recognition that resonated deeply within him. In that instant, Leo grasped that this majestic creature was not just an animal. It embodied a spirit of strength and protection he desperately needed. Despite the lion's imposing stature, there was an air of gentleness about it that drew Leo in. This wasn't just a king of beasts. It was a guardian, an unexpected ally in a world that had turned so hostile and isolating. As the lion took another cautious step forward, its large paws barely making a sound on the sand, Leo felt a wave of comfort wash over him. It was as if the very essence of the desert, its mysteries and life forces, had come together to bring this moment to fruition. The child took a deep breath, sensing something profound stirring between them. With each heartbeat that filled the quiet surroundings, he realized that they were no longer just two strangers, but participants in an extraordinary tale, unfolding under the stars. Would this lion offer him safety? Could it become his companion in navigating through this wilderness? With trepidation dancing along his spine, Leo reached out a small hand toward the lion, unsure if such an act would invite danger or friendship. The lion paused for a heartbeat, as if contemplating its next move as well, before it lowered its head slightly and let out a soft exhale. The gentle sound fluttered through the air like a whisper, a reassurance rather than a warning. Encouraged by this unexpected response, Leo's heart swelled with courage. He took another step forward, arms extended with hope. They were both so vulnerable in their own ways. Leo as a frightened child lost in an overwhelming place, and the lion as a solitary being drawn by something inexplicable. The desert had thrown them together against all odds, crafting an opportunity for connection that neither could have anticipated. As Leo moved closer, he saw the softness in the lion's eyes reflected back at him, dispelling any lingering fear. The air felt charged with potential, a promise that together they could face whatever lay ahead. The lion seemed to understand this unspoken truth too. It mirrored Leo's tentative steps with its own careful movements. In those moments, filled with shared glances and silent exchanges, they began to forge an unbreakable bond. The lion raised its paw slightly, as if inviting Leo to come even closer, while looking protective, yet inviting all at once. It felt like an unspoken agreement forged between two souls in need. Leo would offer companionship to the lonely creature, while the lion would provide strength and safety against the harshness surrounding them. As dusk deepened into nightfall and stars lit up like jewels scattered across velvet skies, Leo settled down beside the lion, not as prey or intruder, but as partners embarking on a journey together into the unknown. Just sitting there beside this magnificent beast gave him strength he never knew he possessed. It felt as though bravery coursed through his veins, alongside realizing he was now part of something greater than himself. Time passed slowly under this canvas of galaxies above. Excitement bubbled within him like effervescence as whispers of adventure beckoned them both forth from their secluded spot amid rolling sands. Perhaps they could explore new horizons together or discover hidden paths beneath starlit skies. They would no longer be alone in navigating their fears. The bond solidified further as they shared quiet moments. Leo talking softly about his dreams of exploration, while the lion listened intently, as if absorbing every word spoken by this tiny human beside it. They shared stories without needing language. Their hearts communicated on levels deeper than mere sounds. The wild wonder of friendship blossomed between them, a connection transcending species, as if ancient spirits entwined around them, solidifying their quest through vast deserts where countless others had faltered before. This unlikely pair would embark on challenges together. Resilience ran deep within them, both now woven tightly like threads binding fabric. Their lives transformed forever within this extraordinary tapestry birthed from loneliness that met compassions head-on. As night wrapped the desert in velvet darkness, speckled with luminous stars, Leo and the lion settled into an unspoken understanding that transcended words. They sat together, silent companions amid the vastness, where only the quiet rustle of the wind filled the air. The warmth radiating from the lion provided Leo with an unexpected sense of safety, grounding him in a moment that felt surreal, yet profoundly real. Leo glanced at the lion's magnificent form, illuminated softly by the starlight. The muscles beneath its golden fur rippled gently with each movement. Yet there was a calm in its demeanor that reassured Leo as he began to relax. Gone were his fears of being lost. Here, beside this powerful creature, He felt he belonged to something larger than himself. He let out a small sigh, one filled with relief and wonder. Encouraged by this calm, Leo took a deep breath in and allowed himself to lean against the lion's sturdy side. It was a bold move for a boy who had been trembling with anxiety just moments before. The lion responded with a gentle nudge of its head against Leo's shoulder, a silent invitation for friendship that deepened their connection further. In that gesture lay an acknowledgement of their shared loneliness and vulnerability. What struck both of them in this delicate moment was not just their physical proximity, but also an understanding forged through shared experience. Though they came from different worlds, one wild and untamed, the other innocent and searching, there was a remarkable empathy that flowed between them. The desert had stripped them bare, exposing their deepest fears while nurturing a bond based on mutual recognition. Leo thought about how it felt to wander alone, swept up in fear and uncertainty. He began to speak softly, casting his voice into the tranquil night like a dove taking flight. "I'm Leo," he introduced himself hesitantly, smiling despite his earlier tears. "I got lost while exploring." He paused for a moment, as if piecing thoughts together like scattered puzzles, before continuing more confidently. "I was trying to find treasure." The lion turned its head slightly to regard him more intently, its amber eyes gleaming bright under the starry sky, as if trying to understand every word spoken by this fragile boy beside it. Something shifted within Leo. It was almost magical how sharing his thoughts started to ease layers of fear coiled tightly inside him. He continued narrating stories from his life, a mix of dreams, adventures imagined only within his mind, as he played pretend at home before life happened for real out here, in this endless wilderness, now surrounded by darkness, punctuated only by starlight. With every word he spoke, they traversed further beyond mere companionship into burgeoning trust, the kind that only turns genuine amidst shared contemplation beneath lengthy stretches of sky. As if sensing the importance of Leo's words, the sincerity behind each carefully chosen phrase, the lion listened attentively, without breaking contact with Leo's gaze. There was an unspoken language passing between them through eloquent silence and soft breathing. Walls built upon loneliness had begun crumbling down as they embraced vulnerability and connection freely exchanged. To Leo's surprise, he felt compelled to ask about the lion's own journey. "Do you ever get lost?" he inquired curiously. "What do you look for out here?" It was risky territory to ask. A small boy questioning a majestic creature known for its fierce independence. But in doing so, he opened doorways to understanding even beyond what words could express. The lion regarded him steadily, before lowering its head slightly, as if inviting Leo into its world for just a moment. A realm where survival meant more than mere instincts or empty roars echoing through vast savannas. There were emotions guiding every step taken across arid landscapes and endless horizons, two waiting patiently themselves. In response to Leo's question, a moment steeped in silence echoed around them. Soft breaths formed delicate clouds rising into crisp night air, where secrets lingered suspended like stories yet untold under celestial light. Though neither could overtly explain what flowed through their hearts at this moment, there existed something beautiful in their unexpected connection that surpassed comprehension, entirely rooted firmly within, courage intertwined deeply alongside companionship forged amid shadows, fading forward toward morning light once again. And so they shared soft breaths beneath indigo skies, sprinkled brightly with illuminating stars stretched endlessly above them. A child with dreams anchored painfully close, now drifting freely alongside a fierce spirit, finding kinship emerging unexpectedly. From feeling anchored homeward, bound during one lonely night, where precious existence meant so much, even when uprooted. Bonding over thrilling possibilities, awaiting a head stitched together through threads unseen, woven delicately across yawning expanses. They transformed shadows looming large into vibrant hues, alive, pulsing brightly toward whatever held promise. They were ready. As the stars twinkled in the vast expanse of the night sky, Leo and the lion remained nestled in their newfound bond, unaware that time was passing. The desert, once a place of fear for Leo, had transformed into a sanctuary of warmth and companionship. Laughter and stories flowed freely as they shared dreams beneath the shimmering constellations, each moment drawing them closer together. However, just as they began to feel at home in their little world, the quiet of the desert was suddenly disrupted by a distant sound. Voices calling out into the darkness. At first, Leo thought it might be part of a dream, or perhaps even an echo from his imagination. But as he listened more closely, he realized that these voices were real, growing louder and more insistent. "Leo! Leo!" they called out, heavy with concern. Panic stirred within him as recognition washed over his heart. Those voices belonged to his rescuers. The realization sent a jolt of energy through his tired body. He looked up at the lion beside him, who had also turned its head toward the sound, alert yet calm. The lion's amber eyes shone bright under the moonlight, as it regarded Leo with an intensity that seemed to ask what they should do next. A mix of emotions surged through him. Fear that he would have to leave this incredible animal behind, and excitement at the thought of being found. "I have to go," he exclaimed softly but firmly. "They're looking for me." In that moment of clarity, both boy and lion understood that their brief time together had come to a turning point. Leo felt a wave of gratitude wash over him. This majestic creature had provided comfort and strength when he needed it most. He leaned closer to whisper to the lion, "Thank you for being my friend." The lion responded with a gentle nudge against Leo's arm, as if acknowledging their bond would remain forever woven into the fabric of their hearts, regardless of distance or circumstance. With renewed determination, Leo stood up slowly, brushing off the sand from his clothes and taking one last look at the incredible creature that had shared this extraordinary moment with him. He knew deep down that it was time to return to safety, but vowed silently that he would never forget this night or his brave friend. He started moving cautiously toward the direction of the voices, while glancing back at the lion one last time. Its silhouette framed beautifully against the starlit sky. They locked eyes again. In that gaze resided unspoken promises. They would always remember each other. As Leo made his way through the dunes that had seemed so daunting before, he heard footsteps approaching rapidly from behind him, his rescuers. A small group emerged from behind a nearby dune, illuminated by flashlights cutting through the darkness like beams of hope piercing despair. They were relief personified. "Leo!" shouted one of them, a familiar face belonging to his older brother, and he rushed forward with open arms. Overwhelmed with emotion, Leo rushed into his brother's embrace. Safe arms enveloped him tightly, amidst worries now vanishing like shadows retreating before dawn. "Where have you been?" his brother asked breathlessly, after pulling away slightly to see him clearly under flashing lights. "We were so worried." "I got lost," Leo admitted hesitantly, but then added quickly in defense of his unsought adventure, "But I found a lion." His eyes sparkled with excitement, despite still feeling shaken by everything. "A lion?" His brother chuckled nervously while searching for signs, a mixture of disbelief and relief crossing his features. But something behind Leo's enthusiastic gaze piqued curiosity rather than doubt. Yes, it was amazing. It didn't hurt me. We talked and became friends. Before Leo could describe any more about their connection or adventures together beneath starry skies, punctuated by moments filled with laughter and courage, the rescuers turned serious as they glanced around carefully at darkened dunes surrounding them, as if expecting danger lurking unseen. "We should move on," said another rescuer sternly, while scanning their surroundings for any signs of trouble. "It's not safe here." As they began walking back toward safety with flashlights illuminating paths ahead, Leo glanced backward one last time toward where they had shared those unforgettable moments together. Standing tall, amid uncertainty filled by longing spirits drawn close in need for connection, recognized freely exchanged between two souls, navigating life independently, yet intertwined, even briefly, illuminated brightly beneath stars overhead, now glowing gently above them, like precious gems scattered across infinity. Though they departed along separate paths now, the connection forged between Leo and the lone lion nestled deeply within, forever binding them through whispered memories lingering softly on desert winds. A promise made silently beneath expansive skies filled with shimmering dreams, yet known awaiting discovery just beyond horizon lines, where adventures still beckoned forth evermore. As Leo reunited with his rescuers, the lion remained just beyond the group, its presence looming large against the backdrop of twinkling stars. Though the warmth from their shared moments lingered in Leo's heart, an instinctive awareness swept over the lion, urging it to stay vigilant. It sensed an invisible thread connecting them, a bond that made it protective of the boy even as they parted ways. The night air was thick with tension as the rescuers scanned the area, their lights cutting through the darkness. They were on high alert, acutely aware that they were in a wild environment where anything could happen. The lion watched closely, its keen instincts attuned to the sounds and movements around it. Despite being a creature of strength, the lion understood the vulnerability of both Leo and those who had come looking for him. One of the rescuers, a local ranger named Maria, felt a shiver run down her spine as she noticed the lion's watchful gaze. "Everyone, stay close together," she instructed, her voice steady but firm. "We don't know what else might be out here." There was an unspoken fear that something could go wrong. Wild animals were unpredictable, and they were now deep within territory where the lion could easily blend into the shadows. As Maria spoke, Leo's heart raced. He turned his head back toward his friend, still perched at a distance. To him, that majestic beast was more than just a wild animal. It had become a protector in a world that had once seemed hostile and frightening. The lion lifted its head higher, surveying the surroundings with commanding authority while remaining calm and collected. Leo took a step away from his rescuers, his instinct compelling him to reassure the lion somehow. "It's okay, I'm safe now," he called out, raising his hand slightly as if to wave goodbye. The lion met his gaze and responded with a low growl, soft yet grounding, expressing both its understanding and concern for Leo's safety, even as they were separated by distance. Unexpectedly, there was a sudden rustling sound coming from nearby bushes, a noise that sent ripples of tension through both Leo and the rescuers. Maria's flashlight beam flickered toward it while her fellow rangers shifted uneasily. "Stay back," she ordered firmly, moving in front of Leo protectively while keeping an eye on the growing commotion. For Leo, everything felt surreal in that moment. He could see both fear and determination flickering across the faces of those around him, but could also feel an unbreakable tether to the lion nearby. He glanced back once again. The powerful creature had not moved. It remained steadfast where it stood, poised to leap into action if needed. Another rustle emerged, followed by soft growls that sent chills down everyone's spines. Then, suddenly, out leapt another wild animal, a coyote. The small creature darted across their path before disappearing into another set of bushes. Although no immediate danger had presented itself, tension hung thick in the air as everyone held their breath for what might come next. In stark contrast to the fear enveloping the humans around him, Leo felt an odd sense of reassurance pulse through him as he looked back at the lion. The majestic animal exuded confidence and strength. Its mere presence seemed to establish an unspoken barrier against any threats lurking nearby. This was not just any lion. This was his friend, an ally grounded in instincts that transcended words. As whispers filled the air among the rescuers about whether they should continue or retreat back to safety, Leo found himself torn between two worlds. The one he had known and trusted, and this new world unfolding beneath starlit skies, where courage intertwined gracefully with vulnerability. "I'm okay," he whispered softly toward the lion, even though he knew it couldn't hear him clearly. Somehow he believed that speaking aloud would help solidify that promise made earlier, one of friendship that would echo through time regardless of their circumstances. As if sensing his thoughts, the lion shifted slightly on its paws, an action filled with intent rather than anxiety, and let out a deep yet soothing rumble that vibrated through the stillness surrounding them, like an anchor holding them all together. The noise seemed to push away shadows, lurking beyond edges of reality, while reinforcing bonds formed amidst challenges faced together earlier under vibrant constellations overhead. With renewed resolve coursing through him, thanks to his fierce friend watching over him from afar, paired with support gathered close by, they would brave whatever lay ahead in this wilderness, united against uncertainty. "Let's move forward," Maria finally decided, after scanning their surroundings once more cautiously. "We can't stay here forever." And just like that, Leo took a deep breath before stepping forward courageously alongside his brother and rescuers, while glancing back one last time toward the noble lion, whose eyes gleamed bright yet gentle beneath moonlit skies, transformed anew, forever imprinted in their hearts as guardians protecting those who dared venture into life beyond familiar paths. As the group moved cautiously away from the area where Leo had met the lion, a profound sense of gratitude washed over him. The bond formed during their time together was unlike anything he had ever experienced. It was a connection born from crisis, forged in the depths of fear and uncertainty, yet blossomed into something beautiful and strong. Leo felt a warmth in his heart that made him realize how important that brief relationship had been to both of them. With each step he took, Leo found himself glancing back toward the lion, which still remained poised and vigilant. The creature had acted like a guardian during his time of need, and now, as they prepared to leave the wilderness, it felt as if that protective spirit lingered with him, offering courage for the journey ahead. Even though they were parting ways, Leo sensed that their bond would transcend distance and time, a silent promise that neither would forget the other. As they walked under the starlit sky, his rescuers exchanged nervous glances, still on high alert. Leo could feel their concern for his safety, but he also felt an urge to share the truth about his encounter with the lion. He wanted them to understand how this majestic creature had transformed his fear into comfort. Leaning closer to his brother, he whispered enthusiastically, "You won't believe what happened. I met a lion. It was amazing." His brother raised an eyebrow, balancing disbelief with curiosity. "A lion? Are you sure you weren't imagining things?" The skepticism in his voice was gentle, Leo understood that it was hard for anyone who hadn't been there to grasp what he felt. "Yes, it came when I was crying, and it didn't hurt me at all," Leo explained, urgency rising in his tone. "It was like it knew I needed help. We talked without words. It listened to me and just understood." Maria, the ranger leading the rescue effort, overheard their conversation and turned her attention to Leo's excited explanation. "A lion out here? That's quite unusual," she said thoughtfully. "But if it truly approached you without aggression, perhaps it sensed your vulnerability." Her tone shifted slightly, now filled with interest rather than disbelief. Leo nodded vigorously. "Yes, it was so gentle. I could feel something special between us." His heart swelled with pride as he shared his story. He felt as if he were carrying a treasure of experiences within him, a secret that connected him to the wild world beyond. As they continued walking through the desert, the terrain changed subtly, and Leo's thoughts began to drift back to the lion. He wondered if it would be okay, if it would be safe now that he was gone. Would it miss him as much as he would miss it? A bittersweet ache settled in his chest as he realized how profoundly this encounter had impacted him. "Do you think it will be all right?" he murmured, more to himself than anyone else. The question hung in the air, filled with longing and concern. Maria turned to him with a soft expression. "Wild animals are resilient," she reassured him gently. "The desert is its home, and it knows how to navigate these challenges." Yet even as she spoke those comforting words, she couldn't help but glance back toward the darker shadows where they had left the lion. The atmosphere around them shifted once again when they reached a small rise overlooking the valley below. The moon illuminated their path ahead, like a guiding light piercing through shadows. It felt almost magical as they paused for a moment to take in the beauty surrounding them. A stark contrast to the fear that had gripped Leo earlier. In this tranquil moment, Leo looked around at his rescuers, their faces reflecting relief mixed with lingering worry, and then back toward where he believed the lion watched from afar. He felt a sense of unity between nature and humanity. Both were navigating through moments of vulnerability and strength together. "I'll always remember you," Leo whispered softly into the night air, as if hoping the words would carry across the sands to reach his friend. "You showed me what true courage looks like." The lion responded by letting out a deep growl in the distance. Though miles apart, Leo could almost feel its presence echoing through the stillness of the night. In that instant, their connection solidified even further in his heart. It was no longer just an encounter, but rather a defining moment of growth and understanding. As they resumed their journey back to safety, Leo felt invigorated by the love and support surrounding him, from both his rescuers and his newfound friend in the wild. Their bond would serve as an anchor, a reminder that even in moments of crisis, empathy could forge connections that uplifted spirits and transformed fears into strength. In this vast landscape, where adventure awaited just beyond the horizon lines, courage thrummed through Leo's veins as he took one last glance back toward where they had shared laughter and hopes beneath starry skies. A promise whispered through time, urging them both forward into uncharted territories, filled with limitless possibilities awaiting discovery. As the rescuers led Leo away from the desert, a wave of relief washed over him as they continued to navigate through the endless dunes. The moon hung high in the sky, illuminating their path like a silver beacon guiding them back to safety. Despite the initial uncertainty and fear that had surrounded his adventure, Leo realized he was stronger for having faced it. With every step he took, Memories of the lion flooded his mind. The warmth of its presence, the quiet understanding they had shared, and the fierce bond they formed under the stars lingered in his heart, providing a sense of comfort he had never expected. Though they were now miles apart, Leo felt that their souls remained intertwined, a connection neither distance nor time could sever. "I'll write about you," Leo whispered into the night, feeling inspired by the courage he had discovered within himself. "I will tell stories of our adventure." The vast desert once felt like a threatening unknown, but now it had transformed into a living canvas, filled with possibilities and magic. He could almost hear the lion's distant growl echoing in agreement, as if encouraging him to share their journey with others. As they finally approached the edge of the desert, the first signs of civilization began to emerge on the horizon. The lights of their camp flickered in the distance, a welcome sight that brought with it a renewed sense of hope. Leo felt excitement welling up inside him at the thought of reuniting with his family and sharing not just his experience of being lost, but also of having met a lion. He had no way of knowing if others would believe him, but he was determined to try. "Do you think we'll be able to go back?" he asked his brother, who walked beside him, still shadowed by concern. "What do you mean?" his brother replied, momentarily confused. "Back to where I found the lion," Leo explained enthusiastically. "We have to go see it again. It's my friend." His brother smiled, amusement dancing across his eyes, despite the worry still lurking within them. "We'll see, Leo. You've had quite an adventure, but maybe we should focus on getting you some food and rest first." Reluctantly, Leo nodded in agreement. Still, the idea of returning to visit his lion friend filled him with eagerness. The bond they had created felt sacred, a promise made between them under the vast desert sky. He sensed that he would always hold a special place for that majestic creature in his heart. When they finally reached camp, Leo's face lit up as he spotted his parents huddled near the glow of a campfire. Their expressions shifted from anxiety to elation as they rushed toward him, enveloping him in tight kisses and hugs. Relief washed over him as he buried himself into their warm embrace. He felt safe once again, surrounded by love. "You scared us half to death," his mother exclaimed, her tone simultaneously firm and tender as tears welled up in her eyes. "Where were you? We thought we'd lost you." Leo stepped back and took a deep breath, preparing to share his story. He glanced at his parents' worried faces and knew they wouldn't understand everything right away. But he was determined to make them see how important this journey had been for him. "I met a lion," he stated simply, hoping that his sincerity would spark curiosity instead of disbelief. "A lion?" His father chuckled nervously, exchanging glances with his mother as if trying to gauge whether Leo was joking or serious. "Yes," Leo insisted passionately. "It came when I was crying. It listened to me and helped me feel brave." They paused for a moment, still taking in what he was saying while extracting reassurance from his undeniably excited expression. His mother knelt before him, looking deeply into his eyes, as if searching for any hint of fabrication. "You're sure you weren't just imagining things? Sometimes when we're scared and alone, our minds can play tricks." "I know what I saw," Leo replied earnestly. "And I know it was real. The lion made me feel safe when I thought I would be lost forever." Both parents exchanged worried glances. Although they wanted to comfort their son, believing such an extraordinary tale was another matter entirely. Just then, Maria stepped forward, having overheard their conversation. "Actually," she began gently, trying to affirm Leo's experience while addressing his parents' concerns as well, "it is possible that a lion could have approached him for that very reason. Sensing vulnerability. Sometimes wild animals have an instinct to protect and comfort rather than attack. Leo's dad furrowed his brows while considering Maria's words seriously, and then finally sighed deeply, softly shaking his head in wonder. "Well," he admitted eventually as he ruffled Leo's hair affectionately, "you've certainly experienced something extraordinary out here today." That night, around the warmth of the campfire, Leo shared every detail about their adventure and bond. The courage gained during moments of crisis transformed not just into stories, but essential life lessons learned within wild spaces far beyond home. As they listened intently under twinkling stars mirrored above them, he felt proud knowing that friendships could come from unexpected places. And perhaps one day, he would return to visit that majestic guardian once more. Reconnecting under countless stars shimmering brightly along with limitless possibilities still awaiting discovery. The story of Leo and the lion unfolds like a tapestry, woven with threads of courage, empathy, and the power of connection. It teaches us that sometimes, in our darkest moments, unexpected friendships can emerge to light our way. Leo's journey through the vast desert illustrated how vulnerability could lead to profound understanding. Both he and the lion were searching for comfort in a world that had turned daunting. As Leo faced the fear of being lost and alone, he discovered that even amidst seemingly insurmountable challenges, strength can be found in the most unexpected places. The bond he formed with the lion became a symbol of hope and resilience, proving that true courage stems not just from strength, but also from the willingness to connect and share one's fears. In sharing his heart with the lion, Leo learned that opening up could transform despair into support. Additionally, the lion's instinct to protect Leo speaks to a universal truth, that we all have a role in caring for one another, regardless of our differences. It reminds us that kindness can manifest in remarkable ways, transcending boundaries between species, cultures, or backgrounds. The lion did not merely approach Leo out of curiosity. It acted on an innate sense of empathy that resonated deeply with both their spirits. The conclusion of their story further emphasizes how these bonds can endure beyond physical presence. Even after parting ways, Leo felt an unbreakable connection to the lion, a promise that their experience together would remain etched in his heart forever. This teaches us that love and friendship are not confined by distance. They can flourish in spirit, guiding us through life's many challenges. As Leo shared his adventure with his family and rescuers upon returning to civilization, it became clear that such experiences shape who we are and how we relate to others. By recounting his story, he not only honored the bond he formed with the lion, but also sparked curiosity and wonder in those around him. A testament to the importance of storytelling as a means of connection. In life, we often face trials that leave us feeling isolated or frightened. Yet, just as Leo found solace in an unlikely friend, we too can discover comfort through connections with others when we allow ourselves the vulnerability required to forge those relationships. These encounters may come from unexpected places, a gentle look from a stranger, a moment shared with a pet, or even an encounter with nature. Ultimately, Leo's journey in the desert serves as a beautiful reminder of the power of friendship rooted in empathy and courage. It showcases how reaching out in times of need can lead to transformative experiences. Those moments when isolation is replaced by understanding and support. As readers reflect on this tale, they may be prompted to consider their own lives. Who are their lions? How do they find and nurture those connections? And what bonds might they create through acts of kindness when faced with challenges? In this vast tapestry called life, every thread matters. Every connection enriches our stories. Each journey has the potential to teach us something essential about ourselves and others. So perhaps it is best summed up by reminding ourselves that even in life's wildest adventures, when solitude seems overwhelming, courage is never far away if one simply dares to reach out and be open to friendship. As Leo looks back fondly on his time spent with the lion under the stars, he embarks on new adventures, knowing that wherever life takes him, he carries not just memories, but also valuable lessons learned along the way. And who knows what possibilities lie ahead for those who are brave enough to seek them out.